In 701 BC, Jerusalem was on the brink of annihilation, surrounded by an Assyrian army of 185,000 soldiers, each one a veteran, a cog in the dreaded military machine that had mercilessly devastated kingdoms. In the moonlight, the gleam of their armor and swords was an ominous sign to the city's inhabitants. This army, led by the fierce king Sennacherib, was renowned for its brutality. Isaiah's words, "Woe to Assyria, rod of my wrath," echoed over this feared power. And the prophet Nahum had given a vision of his soldiers, clad in scarlet, advancing with flaming chariots. This was the force that now threatened Jerusalem, the city of the great king. In this dark time, King Hezekiah of Judah, surrounded by walls and with little earthly hope of victory, decided to seek help from God, in whom he had unwavering faith. Hezekiah was not only a spiritual reformer, but also a pragmatic leader who had strengthened Jerusalem's defenses, building a tunnel to bring water to the city in case of a siege. But Jerusalem's most important fortification was not its walls, but the faith and devotion of its people, a community led by a righteous king who restored temple worship and celebrated Passover, renewing its commitment to God. For him, this conflict was not just a fight for physical survival, but a spiritual battle in which he trusted God to intervene. Sennacherib's arrogance reached its peak when he sent his emissary, the Rabshakeh, to deliver a message full of threats and contempt for the people of Jerusalem and their God. In a calculated move, the Rabshakeh spoke in Hebrew, addressing the entire population on the walls, making sure that every inhabitant heard his words. He told them that neither Hezekiah nor his God could save them from the hand of Assyria, and offered in exchange a comfortable life if they surrendered. The Rabshakeh's words were poison, designed to weaken the people's morale and sow doubt in their faith. Hezekiah, however, did not let himself be overcome by fear. Instead of falling into despair, he went to the temple to pray and sent messengers to the prophet Isaiah in search of divine guidance. Isaiah responded with words of trust in the Lord, assuring them that God would not allow Sennacherib to enter Jerusalem or shoot a single arrow at it. It was a promise that, to human eyes, seemed impossible, but it filled the inhabitants of Jerusalem with hope and strength. During the night, something happened that the Assyrian army did not expect. As the Assyrian soldiers slept in their tents, confident of victory, an angel of God passed through their camp and unleashed a supernatural disaster. At dawn, when the watchmen of Jerusalem looked toward the enemy camp, what they saw was a desolate scene. Thousands of soldiers lay lifeless. The invincible army of Assyria had been annihilated in a single divine act, without the men of Judah having to lift a sword. The divine intervention not only saved Jerusalem, but humbled the Assyrian Empire, which until that point had been seen as unstoppable. Sennacherib, humiliated and defeated, returned to Nineveh, where he would ultimately meet his end at the hands of his own sons. The fall of this Assyrian army in Jerusalem was a reminder that no earthly power, no matter how vast or strong, can stand against the power of the God of Israel. The account of Jerusalem's miraculous defense became a story that would resonate through the centuries, a testament that faith and devotion can defy even the greatest odds. Hezekiah and his people, facing an impossible situation with unwavering faith, witnessed a miracle that changed the course of history. This event not only preserved Jerusalem, but served as a symbol of God's faithfulness to those who trust in Him, even when the entire world seems to be against them. The lesson Jerusalem learned that night was deeper than military victory. They learned that a people's strength lies not in weapons alone, nor in walls, nor in armies, but in faith and justice. Jerusalem, under the leadership of a king who had restored his people's relationship with God, stood strong. In the darkest moments, it was this faith that gave them hope. Isaiah, whose message seemed impossible in the midst of such a critical situation, stood as the voice of divine certainty. This event demonstrated that God is ultimately not only sovereign over all nations, but he also cares for and defends those who are faithful to him. The Assyrians, who had underestimated the influence of the divine in human affairs, found themselves up against a force they could neither understand nor combat. The story of the Assyrian army's fall before Jerusalem became a warning to other nations, a sign that arrogance and disregard for God only lead to ruin. In the bigger picture, this event revealed that every conflict, every desperate situation in the history of Israel and Judah had a divine purpose. Sometimes it was necessary to reach the edge of despair to see clearly the power of God. Jerusalem, besieged and outnumbered, became a symbol of hope and resilience. Victory was not just for them, but for all generations who would see in this story the importance of standing firm in faith even when all seems lost. Thus, God's intervention on Jerusalem's darkest night served as an eternal reminder that in the hours of greatest distress, help from above can transform the course of any story. If you find this video inspiring, remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. These biblical stories are not only meant to inform us, but also to transform our lives, offering us timeless lessons that guide us toward a deeper relationship with God.